Welcome, everybody, to RacerXOnline.com. I am Kris Keefer. We're at Glen Helen Raceway today, and you're staring at a 2022.5 Husqvarna FC 450 RE Rockstar Edition. You can't miss the stars on the shrouds there. So, today, we're going to go out and test this sucker at Glen Helen Raceway. This is where Husqvarna brought us. Not only do we have the FC 450, we have the FC 250, which will be a separate video. You can check that out as well. But not as many differences with the Rockstar Edition versus the factory edition as there was in the past. So, as you guys know, the similarities from last year's Rockstar Edition, Pro Taper handlebars, now has a gut seat, rib seat cover, but unlike in previous factory edition and Rockstar editions, the swing arms are the same. Subframes structurally are the same. There is a little bit of a different cutout to grab on the subframe to put it on your stand, which for me is a lot better than the factory edition. So, what you do get with the Rockstar Edition is skid plate, different wheels, clamps, seat cover, graphics, and basically it's going to be the 2023 model that you guys will see here probably in May. So we're going to break this sucker down. I have a couple riders with me. We even have Zach Osborne here today. So we're going to ride this thing, give you some information, and which one should you buy, the white one or the orange one? Are there any differences? So I brought an orange bike as well. So we're going to figure all that out and give you the information. So stay tuned. All right, we wrapped it up here. Remember this guy to the left of me? In our sport, man, you're gone for 6 months, and they're like, who's this guy? But Zach Osborne, a hero in motocross, hero. If there's one person that I try to tell my kid to emulate, it's this guy right here. So Zach, production day, you are the brand ambassador of Husqvarna now. So what's it like having that new role?
Well, that was quite the intro. I don't know if I'm worthy of that, but yeah, I'm stoked on my new role here at Husqvarna with the brand ambassador and just kind of working into it. Today's the first day on the job, so please don't ask me any super technical questions. But yeah, it's been a great day here at Glen Helen, and enjoying riding with you guys a little bit and feeling out the new bike. This is the first time I've ridden it in stock trim, as well as the 250, and I did a little bit of testing on my 300 for the two-stroke world championship. So it's been a good day.
Breaking news, two-stroke guy right here. So I get asked the question a lot, what's the difference between these guys' factory bikes and then production bikes? So this is the Rockstar Edition, similar to your race scheme. So top three things that you can tell the people out there from your race bike to this bike.
For me, the bars is a big deal. Everyone knows that I run the smaller bars, and I like a crossbar, so that's one major difference for me. I don't know why. I've just always been a crossbar guy. Two, exhaust. Obviously, this comes with the stock exhaust. My race trim would have had a FMF exhaust. And three, I run a cut seat, much lower than this because I have short legs, and it's what works for me.
And what about engine feel? You get on a production bike like this, and to us, it feels pretty fast. But I think the misconception out there is like you guys have all this gnarly power, but in all reality, it's a pretty smooth but long power.
Yeah, I would actually say that this bike is very comparable to our last bike, what would be the normal 22 edition, not the Rockstar Edition. So this bike's actually really a big upgrade on power for us to the last model.
Yeah, so what I noticed with this bike, similar to the KTM, is the chassis on lean angle here at Glen Helen's a lot more planted versus last year's model. Last year's model flexed a lot more, and I feel like it always wallowed when I tried to lean it, especially here at Glen Helen. So coming from your standpoint, for me, the chassis is the big upgrade for me.
Definitely, and for my riding style, this chassis was a huge upgrade when I first started riding it in October. I'm more of a front-end guy. I sit way back on the seat, so it's hard for the front to turn if you don't have a lot of pressure up there. So this bike, for me, was a huge upgrade to have that front-end feel and be able to really just kind of ride with good confidence on the front end. We found that with the old bike, obviously, won a championship with it, and made a good setting in the end. But this bike is a big upgrade as far as the overall platform, in my opinion.
Okay, so now you're riding production bikes. You're in the real world. You don't have sublimation on your jersey anymore. Thanks a lot, Max. But is it still fun for you to ride just stock motorcycles and go out and ride with us, or is it something that you still have a taste for? Man, I wish I had my race trim.
The only thing I miss is probably brakes. Like factory brakes are awesome. The rest of the bike, this bike I could easily go and ride for a day and have fun. But definitely factory brakes are a big deal to me, front brake especially. But other than that, I'm totally content riding stock bikes and enjoying the day out here today.
It's rare to see a guy like Zach. It's been at the highest level of our sport, won championships, and after he's done racing, still likes to go race local things. So like you see guys retire and they don't ride. They're like, I'm out, and they gain a little bit of weight. But Zach, nah, you gained some weight?
Oh yeah.
How many lbs?
Probably like 15 to like race trim.
Is it something that you ate? You're like, dude, I can't wait to eat this stuff after I'm done racing.
Yeah, but that went away after like 6 weeks. You start to feel like crap, and you're like, oh, this is not ideal either. So I went to like all the way to like 192, which is about the heaviest I've ever been, and now I'm back down to like 182, 180.
What was your fighting weight?
Lights class like 161, 450 class like 166, 167.
All right, so what's the schedule now? You're a brand ambassador. What's the plan for 2022? What are you going to do?
We're still working on like a set schedule. I'm definitely going to do some GNCC racing, some J-Day racing, some stuff here on the West Coast as far as the two-stroke World Championship, Vet World Championship.
Vet World Championship?
Yeah, that's correct. But you're good here. Like, I was on the limit today.
I'm 40, so I'm safe.
And yeah, just kind of hitting events with Husqvarna and taking it easy, enjoying retired life.
All right, last question. April, I think it's April, two-stroke national.
Yeah.
Michael Essie, Zach Osborne on the line. I mean, if you haven't got your tickets yet, I feel like this could be really good. So you're going to have some time on this two-stroke before then?
Yeah, I rode it today, so that's more than I had the last time, I think, and it's really fast, so I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be a fun weekend, and yeah.
So if you guys are coming out in Southern California, Glen Helen Raceway in April, check the date, but Zach Osborne, among others, two-stroke national. All right, guys. I am 170 pounds, 230, 2 hundo, 43 years old, 34 years old, Gary Sutherlin, Eddie Laret. Both these guys have been around a long time, so I want to bring the beef to this video a little bit, right? So this, for me, this is I don't want to say a rich man's motorcycle, but you got to be content. You got to have some money. You got to know what you want, and upwards of $12,000. You got to be really wanting to ride some moto and know what you want in this. So these guys, older, a little bit bigger. Gary, you've ridden steel frame motorcycles a long time. You've had a little bit of time on this bike before it came out, I think. You broke in some bikes, or a 250?
I rode a 250, just like a few laps.
Okay. That's a different video.
Yeah.
But right when you hop on this thing, what do you think? You rode an old steel frame before, so thoughts?
Overall, the chassis itself, definitely more planted. Definitely here at Glen Helen, I know we spoke about it a little bit. It's just a little more supple. It does the things that I like. I can still rear wheel steer with it, but also I have that front end feel. I still played around a little bit with the air fork. I love the chassis. I think the motor's good. It's all an upgrade. I still hit and miss on the air fork. I still, like, we chased it a little bit today, and I feel like we got a good direction, but I would love to see it here Thursday when it's super rough to see how that fork really performs.
All right, Eddie, so you're coming off of Kawasaki. That's what you own. I brought you in here because at Glen Helen, for me at least, Kawasaki's really good, real stable. Kawasaki's really good on the edges of the tires. So hopping on this new chassis, what do you think?
Yeah, it's good. Husqvarna made some really good improvements with the rigidity of it, but it's still comfortable. It's not, not too rigid to where it beats you to death, and you still have good feel for the chassis, where the bike's headed, where it's going. I compared it more to the 20 and a half KTM factory edition that I had, and this is definitely a huge step for me in the right direction. So that's off to Husqvarna. They did a great job with all the updates.
Cornering, Kawasaki's maybe not the best cornering 450 out there. To me, this thing corners really good. Honestly, corners better than the 250 for me. So coming off the Kawi cornering-wise?
100% agree. Yeah, I just feel like you can put this bike where you want it, lean it, and rip on the throttle, and it goes right where you want it to go. So I agree 100% with that. It's kind of one of my bones with the Cowie, so this answered that question for sure. This bike does corner better than my Cowie.
All right, so engine for me doesn't feel a lot different from last year's engine. It has a little bit more mid-range meat for me. Most of this upgrade for me is in the chassis. Like I said, lean angle stability is up, and what we call cornering stability, when you're in that corner and there's some imperfections inside the rut, it's a little bit more stable for me, so I like that here at Glen Helen. Last year's bike almost felt like a little bit of a wet noodle. Is always, I don't know, for me, like when I'm on lean angle with the old chassis, it always wants to wallow. This seems a little bit more planted, kind of like what Eddie said. It's a little bit more rigid, but in a good way. Engine-wise, easy to ride. It's like a vet rider's dream for this bike. Like, there's not so much power that you're thinking, oh my God, 450 is gonna rip my arms off. It's really long and linear. Gary?
Yeah, I played a lot today with the mapping and the quick shift, and I struggled a little bit. Like map 1, like I liked map 1 with how well it just was connected to the ground, and you could really overly ride the bike. Like you could ride as aggressive as you want. But I liked map 2 because it was, unlike the last model, even my model, there's a big difference, right? So there's a lot more excitement for me in the motor in map 2, and so I could shift up in third gear and actually but you had to be a little bit more smooth and careful with it. So I definitely, I ran 2 with traction control a little bit today. I liked it. Did not enjoy the quick shift.
Why not?
I
think we're kind of old school. Like we're used to using the clutch.
And I get the concept of it, and I think that it has its place, and some guys are going to love it. Like some people are just going to be like, oh, this is cool. I don't pull in the clutch and I just hammer it. But for me, I feel like the quick shift, the actual where it cuts out is just too long.
I meant to ask Zach this, see if he liked quick shift or if he tried that, see if that's a benefit. But I feel like it would be a benefit off the start. If you had to make your shift to third pretty quick, you don't have to grab the clutch or try to really hard to pull up on the shifter. It does that really easy.
You should do it back-to-back. I think you'd be faster just normal. Me and Zach talked about that earlier, and we were on the same page with actually you being faster, being killed on a start with quick shift compared to somebody that has it dialed. Like maybe somebody that doesn't have their starts dialed, yeah, maybe in a certain class, maybe it would work better. But I think when you get to a certain level and you've practiced enough starts, I think you can still manually do it faster than that.
I think a lot of times, too, you get beginner riders that use more than 1 or 2 fingers on the clutch. They don't know how to shift right. I think quick shift could be a benefit there. So for us, we've all ridden most of our lives, so it's a little bit different. Engine feel for you?
You know, that was something I really wanted to look at because on my KTM, I kind of felt like it just missed a little bit on that bottom end. I didn't really feel like I was connected where I wanted to be. This engine checked that box. Map 1, easy to ride. You know, the track was kind of funky today, a little kind of loamy and dry in the centers of them, so you kind of had to roll and then exit. But I ended up liking map 2 with the traction control as well. But, you know, once you start to kind of blow up, then back to map 1 and finish it off. And I agree, the quick shift, that's an awesome feature for somebody. I'm sure there's a market for that's going to ride this bike, but like you said, it's just so nature for us just to feather that clutch and grab a gear. So good job on that, but not for me.
Suspension for me, it's a little soft. I think we all agree that we went up to at least 11 bar. I know Eddie and Gary went up to 11.1. That is one nice feature about the AER WP fork. I'm not going to sit here and knock it, but I do feel like I like a spring fork feel better. Lean angle's better. When you go to a spring fork on one of these bikes, it really enhances the cornering. I do wish that Husqvarna would go to a spring fork if you're building a Rockstar Edition. It's more of a race machine. I would like to see that. I think people spending the money on this wouldn't mind spending a little extra money for a spring fork. That's my opinion. But overall, I mean, track wasn't too rough today. Between all three of us, we got a happy setting, so that says something.
Yeah, no, I've chased the air fork here and there, and there's places I really like the air fork. And
which is where?
Especially like leaning and cornering, it just feels light, and I can put the bike where I want it. When the track gets rougher, and I feel like with the spring fork, the bike is more planted. The front end is more planted. It sticks to the ground better. I get better front wheel traction. With the air fork, I get just a little more movement. But I do like stock air fork and stuff. Off topic, but for trail riding, like I'd rather run my stock stuff because it just feels light and bouncy. So both characteristics work good on the motor track. When the track gets that much rougher, I like the spring fork better. But the air fork for 90% of people is going to be just fine.
Yeah. Eddie?
Yeah, I agree much with Gary on that. I mean, obviously with my weight, you know, we had to go up to 11 bar. We got to the end. I rode it after Gary rode it, and I was pretty happy with it. Early on, I was real nervous landing on the front wheel. I didn't feel it would get like this wallowy front end, and it could be a little bit of the track. We were breaking the track, and it was super soft, kind of wet. But, yeah, I mean,
Obviously, you're going to valve it if you get this bike.
yeah, 100%. Anybody my weight buying this, quality of a motorcycle, you're going to spend the money and have it valved, and possibly look into a spring. WP makes a spring conversion kit, or the KYB kit. But yeah, that would be probably something I would do if
ASAP.
Yeah, if I was going to continue with this bike. But it is getting better. They are making improvements in the right direction, in my opinion. So if they keep going, maybe someday we're going to have this video and say, hey, they hit it. They're there.
Maybe they'll listen to us. Maybe. You never know. I will give them credit, though. The air fork has come a long way. I was really critical of the air fork back 3-4 years ago, but it has got more comfort. The initial part of the stroke does move a little bit more. And let me just tell you something, guys. When you guys get your new Rockstar Edition, give it 7 to 8 hours. It takes a while for it to break in. The chassis, especially the fork, it'll feel firm, it'll feel stiff, and you'll be deflecting off some square edge a little bit. But for me, man, it really changed my perspective on the KTM when I was about 7 to 8 hours. The bike completely changed, got more supple, got more comfortable. So just calm down, give yourself some time, enjoy your motorcycle, and then after 8 hours, it'll be like a whole new woman for you. So it's pretty good that way. Gary's laughing because that was funny. Ergonomically, you're a big guy, Eddie. So Kawasaki has a lot of room. But for me, hopping on this, the cockpit's pretty nice.
Yeah, that probably for me was, I was a little nervous because the bar's a little lower. I don't normally run pro tapers. I'm a rental guy. But, yeah, it's perfect. I know you like to call the rider triangle. It felt perfect. Everything felt comfortable. Me and yours lever positioning is almost identical. I mean, I didn't change nothing. Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of that. And, maybe just a slight taller bar for me, being 6'2", and call it a day.
Fun fact for you guys out there, Zach Osborne has baby hands, but he prefers his brake lever and clutch lever all the way out. I don't know. That's how he runs it. He's a middle finger guy, so maybe that's it. But it was kind of weird. I had to adjust my levers all the way back in with baby hands over there. So, Gary, ergonomically, shorter guy.
Yeah.
Not bad.
No, I was pretty happy with it. I'm not overly too picky with bar. Like, I am a little bit with bar height. And I knew, like, the old Husky had the low bar. And, honestly, it was pretty comfortable for me. Like, you can move around on the bike. You can position your weight where you need it. If you're losing traction, it's easy to get back, easy to get forward. The bike didn't do anything pitchy. Like, as far as bars, they were fine for me. I enjoyed it.
All right, while I'm talking about this, you're going to think about something you don't like. But for me, one thing I don't like, I love a gripper seat, but this thing's awful aggressive. Man, I go home and I got to get bag balm spackled up in there a little bit, because if anything over 2 hours, man, it really eats my butt up a little bit. So the pleats are nice, but the aggressive of the gripper nature of this thing is pretty aggressive. So if I'm going to nitpick something, I would put a little bit milder seat on there. I do notice more vibration coming off of a Japanese bike. There is more vibration through the pegs and the bars. I complained about that a little bit on the KTM. I noticed a lot of vibration. I don't notice it as much on the Husqvarna for whatever reason. Like I said in the beginning of this video, subframe, swing arm is all the same. So there's not a lot of differences between the KTM and the Husqvarna, just the bars and little minute things of cosmetically. So, Gary, nitpick one thing for the people out there.
I think I'll have to jump on your vibration feel. I noticed that a little bit today. I haven't been riding a little, but I did notice that vibration today. Other than that, like, this stuff's getting so good right now, it's really hard to nitpick. Like I said, air fork can go both ways for me, so I would say a little bit of vibration and maybe just the air fork, honestly. That'd be it.
Eddie?
Yeah, like Gary said, I mean, how could you? It's really hard to pick something bad. I did notice the seat a little bit, which is weird because I like the Sella Della Valley seat on the KTM.
Oh, very good, nice one.
So I found that odd, but I did find I had a little bit of Ando going on, Jersey hanging out quite a bit. So that is not a bad thing for me. Just like you said, be prepared to, work on that. And
Are you a lock-on grip guy?
Yeah, I run lock-on grips. That's not a problem. One thing that stood out to me, kind of as I rode deeper in, this throttle is extremely smooth and has very, very little weight to it. So that
Whiskey throttle.
yes, I got it twice at the end of Talladega, and I was like, oh no, we might make
Doug Henry, Butts Creek, here we come.
exactly. So that I would have to, as my mechanic background, I would have to tweak on that a little bit to firm that up. But you really can't. I mean, you can't go wrong with this bike. I mean, the things we're nitpicking are, you know.
Radiator cap, don't like it. No. I'm not into the radiator cap. That's a mother to get off, trust me. It's not friendly. But like these guys say, it's a fun bike to ride. Every time I get on one of these steel frame bikes, especially the new version of this frame, I enjoy it a lot more. So there's comfort, a little bit better stability. So they're doing their homework. Kudos to the guys over there at Husqvarna for making better motorcycles. And not only that, upping everyone else's game. I feel like the Austrians have forced the Japanese to get better. And that's benefiting all of us consumers. So it makes us have more fun to ride. Maybe not the cost so much, but I like to ride good motorcycles, so it's nice. So thanks for joining us. If you guys want to know more information, you can go to racerxonline.com where you're at right now, or the publication, 12 issues, $30. Get a free prize. You like free prizes, Gary?
I love free
You
prizes.
subscribe to Racer X?
No.
Okay.
No idea.
Okay. Well, these guys are not coming back again.
I will as of in about 10 minutes.
All right. We'll see you on the next go-around.